Today I'm going to go through a list of 33 different game reviews from Switch 1 games that I did not play before the Switch 2 came out, and I'm going to tier list them based on how much I want to play those games now after reading your guys' review on them. First up, it's from Avro Amiga. It's Cave Story. It says, I genuinely think this is one of the top 5 indie games on the Switch. In fact, I dare say it's the father of modern indie games. There's a reason Toby Fox based one of his most important story characters in Undertale off of one of the characters in Cave Story. I didn't know that actually. And this is bolstered by the fact that you need to search on a repeat playthrough if you want the best ending. It's not hand-holdy at all. Indie games aren't usually my vibe just because I feel like it takes a lot to try to find like a true hidden gem, but I've heard a lot of good things about Cave Story. I'm not sure if it's the type of game that I will play though. I think I'm gonna put it in 50-50 for now. Next up is from the Journeyman Guide. He says Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics includes a variety of party games from chess to checkers to darts and bowling. It is simple yet enjoyable game which is best played with family and friends. I still love it to this day. I nearly bought this game when it first came out. I still have it on my wish list. So honestly, I think there might be a time Clubhouse Games gets a Switch 2 edition or something like that to add some more games to it, and I might actually pull the trigger. So I'm actually going to lean towards I'll get to it eventually, but like actually. Stars says that Crash 4 is definitely the most fun Crash Bandicoot game to experience. It looks incredible, plays buttery smooth, and is a overall fun to play. Just don't go for 100% completion. It's brutally hard. Yeah, I've heard the 100% requirements, and I don't plan on 100% in that game whatsoever. I own Crash 4, so it's truly a shame that I just never actually got to playing Crash 4. Like, I have the physical copy and everything, but I just never got around to it. How much will it take for me to actually get through all those games to get to Crash 4? I think I'd give it 50-50. This one's from Caleb. He says Crash Team Racing is better than Mario Kart in my opinion. Yikes. The controls are so much more technical and amusing to pull off, not to mention that every track in the game is so detailed and interesting. In with there being an adventure mode, online mode, and many other modes, the game never gets boring. I played a very little bit of Crash Team Racing. By that I mean I think I played like 2 races in that game. I couldn't really get into it. I played online. I didn't really know what to do. I don't know if I'll play it. I usually just go back and forth between Mario racing games and Sonic racing games, so Crash is kind of left in the dust. I'll get to it eventually, but like probably not. Mushroom Pocket says Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's not the best fighting game I've ever played, but it's also not the worst. Great selection of characters as well as an interesting story. I especially like how the story is split into 3 arcs, one for heroes, one for villains, and one for androids, and the arcs all relate to each other in some way seamlessly or near seamlessly anyway. Also good gameplay in my opinion, at least. I mean, I'm horrible at fighters. We all know this by now, so the chances of me picking up a fighter game that isn't Super Smash Brothers is pretty slim. My roommate in college used to be a big Dragon Ball FighterZ fan, so I have experience watching someone play Dragon Ball FighterZ. Still not really too interested. I'm not much of an anime guy in general right now. This one is from Fubox. It says Emio the Smiling Man is a brilliant visual novel game. Rarely do I find a visual novel to have a story without flaws, but this game has done it. The soundtrack's immersive, and a good visual novel should always make you feel like you are a part of the world, which does. This game, for being Nintendo's only official first-party M-rated game for the Switch, has the rating completely justified with its psychological horror that has impact on you even after you finish the game. It's what a good visual novel should do. It also helps that I love detective work. Rated M for masterpiece, but yes, also mature. Yeah, this would be one I'd have to play on my own time, definitely not on stream. Visual novels have never really been my thing. I managed to get through, I think, Doki Doki Literature Club. I'm not much of a horror fan in general, so I'll get to it eventually, but I probably won't. Seesaw says Fire Emblem Engage is by far my favorite game ever. The gameplay is some of the best I find in tactical RPG genre, with the break mechanic as an example, and the gameplay really encourages customization with different units and emblems, so no team is ever the same. The cast of Engage is also one of my favorite aspects, as I personally really like the more colorful designs compared to Three Houses or earlier games, and the personalities are all distinct from one another. The music as well is so incredibly good, but doesn't get the recognition it deserves. I could write so much more about Engage, but I'll leave it at that. If anyone is slightly interested in starting a game in the Fire Emblem series, I highly recommend this game. Engage was always seen as like the younger brother or sister to Three Houses, just because Three Houses was the most popular Fire Emblem game. I don't see myself playing a Fire Emblem game anytime soon though. For some reason, unfortunately, still not too interested, but I'm very glad that you like it though. Speaking of Three Houses, here we go. Fire Emblem Three Houses. How funny. I'm doing my second playthrough. This was my first Fire Emblem game. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I found myself really enjoying it. The characters here are memorable. The story is really good and not at all what I'd expect from a Nintendo game. The gameplay is rather challenging and will make you think. There's plenty of accessibility options to help newcomers ease into the game. The game is also massive. There there's like 4 entire routes that are practically completely different from each other, so you're incentivized to replay the game to experience everything. I will say I'm not a huge fan of what they did to the social ranks in this game. They tried to personify it, but with there only being 3 to 4 ranks per character, it doesn't really work all too well. But overall, if you haven't played it, you should. 10 out of 10 game. The only RPGs I've played are Super Mario RPG, the remake, and the Thousand Year Door remake. I don't think I can really get into Three Houses. I know he just said that there were accessibility features, but like, come on, I can't be hurting my ego like that. I need to play the game the way it's meant to be played. I'll put it in that I'll get to it eventually, but probably not though. And we'll see what happens. Kaylay says Go Vacation is a game I really fondly remember. Never played the original game on the Wii, so I don't know what changed for the Switch version, but it's fun. There's so many things to do, like running around the map looking for secrets or playing one of the 50 mini games. And the fact that you can play as the Miis is also very cool. It's really reminded me of Wii Sports Resort. The contrast between the 4 areas, beach, city, snow, and mountains was great too. I've never really heard of this game. I didn't know that this was a thing. The fact that I've never heard of this game is going to take a lot for me to actually be able to find interest in this game. It seems like a game that's probably a little bit cheaper, which helps me as well. So we're going to go 50-50 on this one. All right, I know you can't see the name on this, but it was recommended by my cousin PJ. He says Hades. I can't recommend this game enough. It's the absolute peak of the roguelike genre, and even if you don't go for roguelikes, I can say with an almost arrogant level of certainty that you'll still find something to enjoy about Hades. The main difference between Hades and others in its lane is its ability to tell a story through its genre. Death is a part of the story and advances the story. That narrative design choice makes you feel like you're always progressing, even if you're not really getting much further on each run. But you will get further thanks to the thoughtfully designed progression system where you purchase permanent upgrades, weapons, etc. that make subsequent runs easier. Sure, the combat is super fun, but the sauce is in the relationships you build along the way. Top-notch writing in Supergiant Games just doesn't miss. You can tell my cousin here is a writer for like video game blog sites. It's really, really cool, and he's got phenomenal reviews on all the games that he enjoys. I know Hades 2 is coming out, so I feel like if Hades 2 manages to get the praise that the original Hades got as well, then I think I might go and play the original Hades and then eventually make my way up to Hades 2. So I'm going to be completely honest. I think I'm going to get to it eventually, but like actually. Next up, here's the first game that my cousin PJ recommended. He's got Hollow Knight. As far as the Metroidvania genre goes, this is up there with the best of the best, and in my opinion is the best of the genre. The art style is a wonderful blend of dreary and charming. Few games compare in terms of environmental storytelling. Each area feels distinct, like they can each tell their own story, and they can. The progression feels very well designed. Every new skill or item feels useful and expands the map. The story is intriguing. The music is hauntingly beautiful. Combat is rewarding but also difficult, requiring patience and skill, and giving you a bit of that Souls-like gratification. Plus, its sequel, Silksong, is coming out this year and is destined to be a banger. Knock on wood, let's hope that Silksong actually comes out this year. And because of that, I do feel like I'm going to be playing Hollow Knight, though I would like to argue in terms of the whole best of the Metroidvania genre, because I'm a big Ori fan. Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps, 2 of my favorite games I've ever played. It's going to be really, really hard to top those games in that Metroidvania genre, but everyone has said brilliant stuff about Hollow Knight, so I will absolutely be playing this ASAP because Silksong is coming out, and once we get like a true release date for it, you already know that I will start grinding out on Hollow Knight. Next up from Ritz Games, we got Kirby and the Forgotten Land, a game not on the list, but a game that I really encourage everyone to play. For being the first full 3D Kirby platformer, this one was done perfectly. Every level has its own unique environment and aesthetic. The game is just fun for playing casually while also being super challenging to play when you're a completionist. The music in this game is awesome. The different abilities you collect are so much fun to use, and even better when you get to upgrade them over time. It makes every boss fight in the game different depending on the ability you use, and even the mini games are so much fun to play. Almost everything in this game is fun. Doesn't matter if you're a Kirby fan or not. I think it's a joy to play through. So that's pretty high praise for Kirby in the Forgotten Land, and I am interested in this game absolutely. I just never got around to purchasing it, but now that they're coming out with a Switch 2 edition of Kirby in the Forgotten Land, which has that star-crossed world, extra side mode, story mode, I think that will give me a little bit more of an incentive to get the game. I am going to put it to a we'll get to it eventually, but like actually, because I think there's enough people in my community that might want to see me play it. Next up is Tom Krosnowski, one of my friends from college. He says Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, a beautiful return to a classic series. It looks incredible, and there's so much heart in the storytelling. I don't think the gameplay is as strong as the classics, but there's still just so much to do, and it looks so good. Fantastic game, Skywalker Saga. I remember the classic Star Wars games on the GameCube, Star Wars 1 and Star Wars 2, and I actually did play Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga with my brother on his Xbox One S. If I were to play the game again, I would probably just play it again with my brother on his Xbox. So I don't think I would end up getting the game on the Switch. I'm gonna put this one in the, we'll get to it eventually, but probably not though. Next is Hunter Shepherd, who says Luigi's Mansion 3, one of the nicest looking games on the Switch in my opinion. Moving feels great and the hotel you explore is huge. It feels like every corner in the game has something for you to find and do. I really want to play Luigi's Mansion 3 one of these days, but for some reason my mind is so dead set on playing all the Luigi's Mansion games in order, and I beat Luigi's Mansion 1 and now I'm struggling through Dark Moon. I've made it through I think 2 mansions, but man, it's just a slog. Who knows, maybe one of these days I will just skip Dark Moon and get to Luigi's Mansion 3. But for now, I'm going to put Luigi's Mansion 3 in the 50-50 category. Next up from Andrew Hafeen, it says Mario and Luigi Brothership is hadly the last game of the series, and if you have never played a game, it is likely my favorite game in the Mario and Luigi game series. If you like adventure, RPG, Easter eggs, this might spark some interest into you. Even thought it might not be everyone's favorite, but at least give it a try and you might like it. I played a little bit of Superstar Saga and a little bit of Bowser's Inside Story, but that's really about it. I never got around to some of the other Mario and Luigi games. It just doesn't seem as appealing to me as some of the other RPG games that have been coming out, like the Paper Mario games. For some reason, Mario and Luigi Brothership just never clicked to me as much as those games. From Arion K, this is Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. My brother got Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle for the Switch. At first, I was a bit skeptical of the game as I knew nothing about it. I played some of it and it was so good, and as soon as I heard the news about a new game, I instantly bought it. It's kind of like an RPG turn-based battle game with lots of puzzles in different locations, and the ending is so good, especially the final boss. When everyone teams up at the end, it was so good. I 100% the full game and the DLC. Personally, I would recommend this game if you like RPGs and turn-based battles and puzzles. See, that's kind of a problem. Unfortunately, I'm not a big RPG fan. I'm not a big turn-based fan, but I've heard obviously nothing but great things, especially about the sequel Sparks of Hope. So I think I'm going to put it in the 50-50 because then maybe the fact that it's just a Mario game, for example, might win me over. So one of these days, but I can't say yes or no right now. And now we go to the original Kingdom Battle from Vovko. How in the world didn't you get this thing? It's on sale literally every other day. Anyway, this game just clicks. Fun gameplay, good puzzle solving, amazing DLC. The only thing I would change is sometimes you have to go through some things twice because you gradually unlock overworld abilities, which I would prefer less of. Still very fun and a generally funny time, and he gives it an A-. I know it's on sale every other day basically, and it's like 80% off or something like that. Besides seeing the very low price point when it's on sale, it doesn't intrigue me all that much. The turn-based battle, the Rabbids themselves are more so pulling me away than Mario is sort of pulling me in, if that makes sense. It just seems something that I didn't think I would be too interested in, but maybe I'll give it a chance. I'm still just going to give it a 50-50 though. This next one's from Jesse. It says Metroid Dread is a return to form for the Metroid series. Gone are the unnecessarily plot contrivances of the Prime games, and in their place is a 2D horror-centered masterpiece that picks up where the series left off with updated snappy combat controls and polished exploration mechanics. This game is second only to Super Metroid, and not by as much as I'm comfortable to admit 5 stars. Jesse doesn't give a lot of modern games as high praise as he does the classics, so the fact that he gave a game from 2021 5 stars is really incredible. There's probably a chance that I won't be buying the game anytime soon, but if I'm going to be completely honest, I might buy Metroid Dread before like a Metroid Prime 4. I think eventually I will get to it, and I think I'll actually get to it, but I think I might need another Metroid game to be announced. Next up is Fire Yoshu. Says New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is one of the most simplistic Wii U ports, but it does have a good amount of quality, including both New Super Mario Bros. U and New Super Luigi U, both solid games, and if you enjoy 2D Mario, these games are worth your time. Fair enough. The main reason I just didn't get it is because I already 100% in New Super Mario Bros. U and New Super Luigi U on the Wii U. So unfortunately, I love your review, but I'm not too interested in the game still, unfortunately. The Yoshi Star says Octopath Traveler is the game that made me truly love RPGs. While not a Switch exclusive anymore, it launched as one. It has a great art style, super addicting combat, and stories that kept me invested all the way through. That's exciting. It's a phenomenal review. Octopath Traveler has been one of those RPGs that I keep looking at and I'm like, maybe one of these days I'll finally get it. These types of RPGs don't really grip me as much. I need to get more into easier RPGs before maybe getting to these text-based, turn-based RPGs. I don't think I'm gonna get Octopath Traveler. It just doesn't interest me as much right now, but maybe that can change in the future. Jugga J says PacMan Road Repack is a good platformer. I've never played the original nor the remake. Take Miss Pac-Man out of the game for reasons. I do enjoy it nonetheless. My favorite part is racing in a circus track boss fight, and I need to go in first place. If not, I have to start start over. I think there's some whole licensing issue between Namco and Miss Pac-Man for some reason, and they haven't been able to put Miss Pac-Man in newer games because of that. A Pac-Man platformer that actually has some high praise, and that'll be one of those things that I'll probably pick up as soon as they announce a World Repack 2. We'll just have to see, and I think this is one that right now I'd put at a 50-50. This next one's from T-Main. He's saying, let me cook. Starting off with Pokemon Legends Arceus. He says, the most fun and new experience I've had with the Pokemon game since the 3DS. The game gave me a childlike sense of wonder I haven't had since Diamond. This game finally gives fans a more in-depth exploration experience, and the mechanics of finding and catching Pokemon make up for the game's shortcomings. Okay, for some reason, I just have not been able to find my way into the Pokemon series whatsoever. Legends Arceus seems fun. I know they're doing Legends ZA that's coming out as well, but I don't necessarily feel too intrigued about that one either. I think I'll get to Arceus eventually, but probably not, knowing me. Next one's from Jesse Playtime, not on the list, but Pokemon Let's Go. Pikachu and Eevee is pretty much the Switch games of Pokemon Go. They use the same catching mechanic of Pokemon Go, and it sometimes made catching difficult and annoying. One good thing about the game is the really good graphics. Okay, that's fair enough. I've heard good things about the graphics. I actually never played Pokemon Go myself. I've heard many people tell me that if I'm going to play a Gen 1 game, I might as well just play the original Gen 1 games as opposed to Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. So at this point, I don't really think I'm interested in Let's Go. Next up, also from T-Main, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX, a remake of what I consider the most underrated game in the Pokemon franchise. This game features a great story along with classic dungeon crawler mechanics and charming gameplay. The game has a ton of content and features few key quality of life changes from the OG. I've also heard that this game for Pokemon also has a phenomenal soundtrack, so that definitely intrigues me as well. I'm not necessarily sure what the gameplay style is of Mystery Dungeon, but I feel like when it comes to Pokemon, maybe there's a chance that the spin-off Pokemon games will get me more interested than the actual mainline ones, but I'm not sure about that. I think I'm going to put it in that same tier though, just because, you know, it is Pokemon and it's going to take a lot for me to get into. Next up from Captain Mudkip, he says, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are my personal favorite Pokemon games with the best story from a Pokemon game since Black and White and pretty fun gameplay. Although if frame rate and graphics are a thing you care about, then it ain't for you, but personally for me, I love it. Yeah, I've heard a lot of crazy things about frame rate and graphic drops in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, at least on the Switch 1. I've heard on the Switch 2 that they've actually improved the game and it almost feels like a completely different game. So that's very exciting. If I were to start with a Pokemon, either I'm starting Pokemon franchise with spin-offs, or I'm going to start with Gen 1 and work my way all the way up to Gen 9 and maybe a future Gen 10. Who knows? I'm not necessarily interested. This one from V, he says, Shovel Knight. Treasure Trove is nothing more than a 10 out of 10 game. The main campaign of the game is a great Mega Man inspired run through with a solid boss fights and music. Plague of Shadows is basically just the main game, but slightly worse in my opinion as you lose the Pogo. King of Cards is a solid reimagining of the formula, giving King Knight a solid Wario Land inspired move set and having him play a fun card game. It feels a lot more like a traditional platformer than Shovel Knight did. Showdown is a platform fighter with a solid character roster, but less than ideal gameplay, but the main highlight is Spectre of Torment. Spectre of Torment is generally one of the better platformers out there with great movement, story, characters, and bosses. If you had to play one of these, Spectre of Torment is the one. Overall 10 out of 10. So I have this whole game. I have Treasure Trove. So what is that? Like 5 games? I thought it was 3 games in one. It's 5 games in one. That's actually crazy. It's a phenomenal deal. I do think maybe one day I will get into it. I don't know if they'll ever bring back Shovel Knight, but I do think I'm going to put this in 50-50 just because I own the game and therefore it makes it a lot easier and more possible for me to potentially get my hands on it. Next up from Finny Boy, it's Sonic and Shadow Generations. It's a great way to learn about the past adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Shadow the Hedgehog. Sonic Generations lets you play as classic and modern Sonic, who function very differently from each other. Classic Sonic uses the spin dash and drop dash and run fast through 2D side-scrolling stages, while modern Sonic uses the boost formula across 3D wide stages. All the stages are split into 2 acts. Act 1 is for classic Sonic and Act 2 is for modern Sonic. But then big man Shadow comes into the spotlight and oh boy, his adventure is sick. First off, we learn about what happens to Shadow during the events of Sonic Generations. Since both games take place at the exact same time, Shadow can use a new ability called Doom Powers, which change him under the Black Doom's influence. His stages lead into his past, in the future, seeing environments that were taking place after the events of the game in the canon timeline. There's my testimonial. I hope I changed your mind about a peak game. That's crazy. I feel like I learned much more about this game combination than any trailer could have provided for me. So fantastic work on that one, Finny Boy. I actually owned Sonic Generations back on the 3DS, but then I got rid of it for some reason. Just didn't really interest me that much. Honestly, I'm kind of glad that I didn't buy it until now, hopefully, because it's a Switch 2 edition that I would have had to pay full price just to get the Switch 2 edition of the game. Maybe I'll get my time around to play it. So I think I'll get to it eventually, but like actually, because a story about Shadow definitely intrigues me, even if it's like a quick 5-hour extravaganza. Next up is Lewis with Splatoon 3. He says it's a game with amazing community and is so diverse in both its fan base and its modes. Back in Splatoon 1 10 years ago, might I add, yep, I remember I played Splatoon 1 and I owned it. You had battles, not amazing story mode, and 6 weapon types. Now you have battles, salmon run, table turf battle, and amazing story mode, and a brilliant DLC as well as 11 weapon types. The fact that there are so many possibilities within such a small niche idea make it an all-time Switch game. Played Splatoon 1 a lot, but I mainly just played the single player. I'm not good at shooters, so I didn't play much of the online multiplayer in Splatoon 1, and then I never owned Splatoon 2 or 3, so I think this is going to be one that I'm not necessarily interested in. If they come out with a Splatoon 4, maybe we're talking, but as of right now, Splatoon 3, I might be too late to the party. So next is Stardew Valley, the last of the T-Main comments. He says, I just can't say enough good things about this masterpiece. Music, story, visuals, gameplay, progression, atmosphere, characters, etc. The most relaxing game I've ever played. I don't know. I feel like being too relaxed, too zen doesn't necessarily bring home the point of playing video games for me. So I think for me, I'm going to put it in. I might get to it eventually, but I will probably not. As of right now, I'm not really too crazy about Stardew Valley at the moment. Next up from Talented Wharf, it's Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. To this day, the greatest experience I've had playing a video game. It was one game that got me into gaming, and it really showed me what could be achieved in a game. I enjoyed every step of my journey, even the boring, mundane tasks, because the world Nintendo created was just so engaging and alive. This is an interesting take because I got Breath of the Wild a couple of years ago, and I actually just got the Switch 2 edition for free because of that Nintendo Switch online expansion pass. You can get the Switch 2 edition of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom for free. So I think maybe having that access now might be interestingly enough for me to be able to play this one. So I think I'm going to get to that eventually, and I think I might actually will. Vovko says Tears of the Kingdom, probably the best open world game ever, but in that aspect alone, I still find Breath of the Wild superior. Still a fantastic Zelda experience, and despite it taking a lot from the game before, a lot of things are still here. Underground sky sections, mechanic, new abilities, some new enemies, the new plot, which I find way weaker than Breath of the Wild, but it's not bad. You should totally play this S-. All right, fair enough. That's one of those games I feel like I kind of have to play Breath of the Wild first before I end up playing Tears of the Kingdom. So I'm not too interested right now in Tears of the Kingdom. So I'm going to put it at the very bottom. It feels wrong to put it at the very bottom, but Tears of the Kingdom doesn't strike me, especially since I don't already own it. I don't see myself getting to it anytime soon, unfortunately. Our last game of today is Undertale from Dove Wolf. She says, yes, I know I say it a lot because it's my favorite game, but it's a good suggestion. You have played Mario RPG and Undertale, and it is an RPG game with amazing music, story, choices, characters, and both genocide and pacifist route are incredibly fun. It's just an incredible game to play, and I would love it if you took it into consideration. I know I've heard a lot of good praise about Undertale as well. I do have it on my wish list. Maybe I will pull the trigger one of these days. It's one of the cheaper games on my wish list, so it could be one of the first things that I do end up purchasing. So I'm hoping I can get around to that. I know Deltarune, like chapters 3 and 4 just came out, so I never played Deltarune as well, unfortunately, but maybe we'll get to it. The amount of people that seem interested in seeing me play it, I think I'm going to put it at a 50-50 right now. But that's it, guys. Those are 33 games that I have not yet played on the Switch 1. And now that the Switch 2 is already out, do you want to see me play any of these games? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys giving your testimonials. I apologize that this video took a while to get out, but I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. With that being said, thank you so much to my members. You guys have been very, very kind to me, and your support has been incredible. So I really appreciate you guys sticking around and showing me that support. But for all of you guys watching as well, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe if you're new. Stay up pro. I'm out of here.